Hello YouTube, it's me, it's Michael B. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and today we're here to talk about a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right, T-U-R-T-L-E Power Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, recently it's been announced that the Raw Thrills Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Wrath of the Mutants arcade game will be coming home to home consoles, but I've got a theory that I want to share with you today that it might not only end up on home consoles, it may end up in the home arcade space as well with Arcade1Up. And I'm going to tell you more about it right after this. So that's right, guys. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the upcoming release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade Wrath of the Mutants coming to PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, Steam, and other home consoles, as well as why I have a theory. Now, don't take this as word. I have a theory. It's the slimmest of chances, this is purely speculation, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade Wrath of the Mutants might be coming to Arcade1Up as well. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube jazz. So it was announced just this past week that the famous Raw Thrills and Nickelodeon arcade game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be coming to home consoles in a new version called Wrath of the Mutants. This is the first time the game will be coming out of the arcades and coming to home. It's 6 years after its major debut. We'll finally see it on consoles, and it's a chance for people to play it at home with their family and friends. Now, for anybody that's not familiar with the game, this is a Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics release. It's been in most Redemption and modern arcades for about 6 years now. We've had it at the Rec Room as long as I could possibly remember. You've probably played it at some kind of Dave & Buster's or modern Redemption type arcade. Here's the screen if you wanted to go check one out for yourself. There's the cabinet itself. It even has that old famous shark fin design we remember from the original Arcade1Up. No marquee as it's a giant topper up there, speakers there, and there's the place for the turtles and your coin mix. So here's the description. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Raw Thrills is a completely new 4-player action-adventure amusement game inspired by the arcade classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, and based on the current hit animated series by Nickelodeon. So guys, there it is. I'm sure most people have either seen it or played it already, and now the game is finally coming to home consoles. So before this was announced as coming home to home consoles in this port, the only way that you could have played this at home is by picking up one of the actual Redemption machine, I keep calling it Redemption, but modern arcade cabinet from Raw Thrills. So if you're here in Canada, one of the distributors that you could have bought this from was Player One Amusements. I don't know what the price point was, but I'm guessing but somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 Canadian in order to bring this home. So that was your only real option to buy it and pick it up. Me personally, I've always been a big Turtles fan, so I'm excited to pick anything up that has Turtles in it. I'm not the biggest fan of the current modern day Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles, but anything that closes the gap between what I remember from being a kid and what I love, as well as what my kids enjoy, I'm interested in checking out. So while it is incredibly exciting that this is coming to home consoles and PC, we can finally play this game at home without the trouble and expense of picking up a real machine or actually going out to an arcade to play it. What does any of this have to do with Arcade1Up and home arcade, right? Well, so guys, keep in mind this is the thinnest of theories here, the absolute thinnest of theories, but take a look at who's making this game. It's Raw Thrills and Play Mechanic. We already know that Arcade1Up has a great relationship with both these cabinets, and these companies have gone above and beyond to make sure their games have shown up on Arcade1Up cabinets that are purchasable to the home arcade retail market. We also know that Arcade1Up is a big fan of Nickelodeon and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, having previously released Turtles in Time in the last couple years with an online feature and the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade during Wave 3. We also know that a couple months back, before 2024 hit, there was a slew of videos out about a leaked list that had come out from Arcade1Up. Look at that handsome dude right there. Leaked list from Arcade1Up of games that were going to be coming out in 2024, and one of the games was slated as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it looked like they were doing something different than they had done in previous years. So we know that a new Turtles game is possibly coming, but they listed it as the Cowabunga Collection, and talking to John D., who was previously with the company, he said that was actually a red herring and the company was doing something different. For those reasons and the connection between Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics with Arcade1Up and Nickelodeon's connection with Arcade1Up, the tie-in of this game coming home to console ports also makes me believe that now could be the time we could see this new modern-day Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, Wrath of the Mutants, also come out in some version on Arcade1Up. There are, however, a couple very obvious problems with this scenario that I do want to address, one of which is the fact that most Arcade1Ups have that tiny 17-inch 4:3 ratio screen, so how would a giant 16.9 ratio game look on a tiny 4.3 screen, or would they actually have their first cabinet with a 16:9 screen? And also on top of that, this is more of a modern game. Arcade1Up PCBs typically aren't the best, and could they handle something of this nature? First off, let's talk about the screen, and is this actually a problem? No, not at all. Most 16.9 screens are actually cheaper nowadays than finding a 4:3 display ratio. It's not like those are being readily produced anymore, so it's much easier to go find something in the 16.9 aspect ratio, probably cheaper for Arcade1Up to do as well. And funny enough, this wouldn't be the first time Arcade1Up have actually played with adding a 16:9 screen to a cabinet, as a couple of years ago. Funny enough, a couple years ago, when they were actually developing the X-Men Arcade1Up cabinet, they originally thought of trying to do this as the iconic 6-player cabinet. And instead of the 4:3 screen, they were actually going to include a 16:9, either 32-inch or 27-inch screen in the display to get that full widescreen effect that the original arcade achieved by having one screen and then the mirror with the screen down underneath. So this would be the second time a widescreen cabinet would go into an Arcade1Up, at least a test model. Now, obviously, where this is a more modern game, this is going to be a more demanding game on an arcade or a computer PCB, and Arcade1Up has been known as having an underpowered chip even for some games from the late 90s, early 2000s. So how would it be possible that this would work on an Arcade1Up cabinet? Well, this wouldn't be the first time that Arcade1Up and Raw Thrills Play Mechanics have worked together to pull a rabbit out of their hat and make a game work that really shouldn't work on the included PCB. And instead of it being a direct ROM emulated, it could be a modified port, which Arcade1Up have done in the past with the Fast and the Furious cabinet coming to Arcade1Up with some obvious concessions made. As well as with their Buck Hunter cabinet, that was the exact same thing. It featured 4 games modified to work on the Arcade1Up PCB. This was more a port than ROMs ported directly to the actual system. This was a new version made directly by Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics to work with their hardware. And guys, more than anything else, why I think this is plausible, it just seems to fit with the new direction Arcade1Up seems to be heading in. I mean, you take a look at the only release so far in 2024, and with everything that's going on with the company, it seems that the company is in more of a direction to reach out to a more mass market, try to bring in a younger audience with the tie-in from X-Men 97 and the toy-like tie-in, instead of releasing an arcade-accurate Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Deluxe cabinet. It's very plausible that as we move forward, a port of this popular Raw Thrills arcade game that matches more with a younger demographic would make much more sense than rehashing the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time like they've done previously. Now, me personally, I'm just sitting here hoping to God they do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles classic arcade game in the XL form factor more than anything else. If not in XL, do it with Deluxe. Do it with that great new midway form factor that you've used for NBA Jam XL last year if you're going to do 4-player. Me personally, I would love it with the original arcade art. So that's what I want, but I do think it's probable they do something completely off the chain of arcade recreation and do something that's modern arcade recreation and try to reach out to a whole new audience. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this theory? Do you think I'm completely off base? This is nowhere near making any sense. Believe me, I'm halfway there on this one as well. Or do you think it's possible that Arcade1Up could see the popularity of this game coming home to home console ports, could tie in with the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem, and jump on the bandwagon of doing Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade Wrath of the Mutants as a home release for their product? Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.